Hey everyone, Simply Seppy here with a video on how to get a card graded. I've been getting cards graded for years now, and based on the booster box openings I've been doing, I thought it appropriate to shed a little bit of light on the issue. First thing you want to do is select your provider. This is going to be a company responsible for grading services. My recommendations would be Beckett Grading Services or PSA, Professional Sports Authenticators. For the sake of this video, I'm going to use PSA to discuss the process. The three main factors you want to consider when you're deciding whether to get a card graded or not are as follows. What is the condition of the card? What is the best estimated price of the card? This is heavily predicated on the first factor. And finally, what is the reason you want to get it graded? I've had cards graded for the purpose of collecting. I've had cards graded for the purpose of nostalgia and protecting them. It is really the main catalyst into wanting to get your cards graded is that final one. There are no wrong answers, just something to think about when deciding whether or not to get your cards graded. Once you've decided the condition of the card, which is a best estimate, and once you have found the price for this best estimate, I use PSA SMR Price Guide, you are ready to start a submission. I will use the new polls I received from my Magic Ruler and Pharaoh's Servant booster box openings. These will be the Acts of Despair, Delinquent Duo, Call of the Haunted, and Premature Burial. So those are the ones that we'll be using. I will be switching over to the computer in a second, but this channel is going to be focused on collecting of Pokemon cards and of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. This video is strictly for the purpose to teach you how to get your cards graded and what you should consider when getting your cards graded. So we're going to switch over to the computer now to show you how to start a submission. And as I said earlier, we'll be submitting this Call of the Haunted, Premature Burial. Those were from Pharaoh's Servant, Acts of Despair, and Delinquent Duo from the Magic Ruler opening that I performed in one of my previous videos. The link is actually in the description to that video. It's a set of 3 videos. We are actually doing a giveaway in the recap to that video for some first edition cards from the Magic Ruler set that we did. So be sure to check out that video as well and see what you need to do to be able to enter to win those giveaways. One of them actually is a PSA graded 9 Kazejin first edition from Metal Raiders. So definitely tune into that video to get more detail. Okay, so first thing you're going to want to do is go to psacard.com. That's the process I'm going to walk you through from start to finish. Once you've decided which cards you want to get graded, you'll go to the website and you'll select Start Submission. The first thing you're going to want to do once you hit Start Submission is you're going to want to declare the item type. The item type for a Pokemon or a Yu-Gi-Oh card is going to be a regular or small size card. So we're going to select Next. My interest is in grading and no autograph because they're cards, they're not autographed cards. You're going to select Next. Okay, so regular, this is essentially what most of your cards will fall into. So what I was discussing earlier around essentially the fair market value, that was item 2 on the list of things to consider. So determining the value of the item is highly predicated on the condition. So items 1 and 2 coming into play from earlier in the video. Essentially what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to discern your card and give it a value. If you think it's gem mint and there's nothing wrong with it, that would be a 10. If you think it's mint but there's a few imperfections, maybe a 9 or an 8. So the reason I bring this up is because we're going to want to find the max declared value per item. Now this is, as I said earlier, an estimate of what you believe the declared value to be. And for a beginner that's not too well versed at navigating some of these sites, PSA has a price guide. So if you're on psacard.com, if you click on the price guide, it'll bring you to this page right here. And this page right here essentially allows you to look for different types of cards, not only Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! They have baseball cards, football cards, all types of sports memorabilia. But for me, I'm looking for Pharaoh's Servant, which was PSV. So that's the first thing I'm going to look up. So I'm going to try to find my card, and Call of the Haunted, first edition, is what I'd be looking for. So I think it's perfect because I just pulled it from the pack. There's not a single imperfection. There are a couple cards that, even though they're pulled from packs, they do have imperfections. So the value I would declare is $275 for Call of the Haunted. For Premature Burial, all the cards that I'm submitting I believe to be perfect. So I'm submitting them at Gem Mint 10s. You can see at the top of the screen it gives you the Gem Mint 10 through the non-mint to mint 8. And it tells you the value, or the fair market value of that card. So that is going to be our declared value for when we're pricing out these cards. So because my declared price per item is less than $499, I'm going to be doing economy. And economy refers to the level, so the price you're going to pay per your submission and the expediency as to which you're going to get your submission back. I'm going to open up resources. We will be able to see services and pricing, and that will tell you essentially per the estimated cost of your item. I put economy. The estimated turnaround time is 40 business days. These are starting to get a lot higher because PSA is, as they have on their site, they are grading a ton of different cards. So right now this would go in as economy, so I wouldn't expect to see this for another 40 days. I always suggest submitting because you will only pay for the initial shipping, and your card will not be billed until they are shipping the graded product back to you. So I could ship and it would cost me maybe $20, probably a little bit less depending on if I'm insuring the cards, and I will then get billed the full amount after 40 business days. So definitely important to know what your cost is versus when it's going to be taken from either your bank account or your credit card. So it's pretty iterative here. You're going to enter a description, and I'll go through this for the sake of one card because everything after that is pretty self-explanatory. So Call of the Haunted, you'll see it start to populate here on the side. We have Pharaoh's Servant, Call of the Haunted, but notice it doesn't say first edition, so that's not the one we're looking for. Pharaoh's Servant, card number 12, Call of the Haunted, first edition. Minimum grade essentially specifies the minimum grade you are willing to have that card receive. If they do not believe that it's that grade, they will still charge you and send the card back ungraded. A lot of times I'll leave this blank so that way my card is graded regardless, but some of the reasons why you wouldn't want to have your card graded is if you believe your card to be a Gem Mint 10 and it's an expensive card, the grading process is not an exact science. So being that it is temperamental, you could get a different grade if you were to receive a different grader or professional services grader. So the reason I bring that up is the only time I did this was when I just sent in my first edition Jinzo from Pharaoh's Servant. The reason being because I believe the card to be pristine, and I wouldn't want the card to be encased or potentially damaged if I went to open the case if it was to get anything less than a 10. So cross your fingers that it comes back a 10 and I won't have to worry about that. But that's why I wanted to bring that up. Typically I don't select anything here. Declared value total. So here's where that $280 is going to come into play for the Call of the Haunted. $275, excuse me. So we're going to put $275. That's the declared value. I may put a note, just opened PSV booster box, and hit save. So essentially you're going to go through that same process for all of your items. It'll start tallying your fee over here, basically the number of items times the $20 fee. So with a $499 max value per item because we chose the economy service level. So we're going to end with item entry, and I will show you what a PSA submission looks like that you're supposed to print out. So we will be going back to the video camera, so bear with me. Okay, so onto the packing guide for sending your cards to get graded. What you'll want to do is you'll want to, I'm going to hold this up to the camera. So here's my Call of the Haunted card. It's in a penny sleeve and also a Card Saver 1. You could get both of these online. I typically use both because the penny sleeves are somewhat inexpensive, and so are the Card Saver 1s. So it's just the utmost protection you could have for your card, so that way it doesn't slide around while it's being transferred to PSA. The next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to label your card by the submission number and the line number on your submission. When you checked out of your PSA order, essentially it provided you with these forms to print out, and I will go through these forms in a little bit more depth in the future, but the main thing to realize is that you can get the submission number from the top right of the form, and then you will get the line number essentially on the printout, so it'll help you line up the card to be labeled. So let me put this to the side. You were given 3 copies for PSA, those will get packed in the box, and 1 customer copy. So if you grew up a little bit cooler than I did and don't have a label maker, you can just take a piece of tape and write the submission number and write the line number. These will help track as they're going to PSA. So the next thing you want to do is you want to take 2 pieces of cardboard close to the size of your card. PSA also has a how-to guide on how to package their items that's quite good. After that, you're going to want to put a rubber band around it. I typically do 2. Do 1 for each side. Before putting these into the box, you will want to take this and essentially wrap it in bubble wrap, so that way it's even more secure while it's in the box. Bear with me for one moment while I grab tape. Okay, once that's all said and done and you've packaged your item inside the box, you'll want to take care of the forms. So as I said, there's 3 copies for PSA. We'll go through them real quick. The last one is the customer copy for you to keep. I'll pull that out over here. So the only thing you're going to need to do with each and every one of these to fill out is you're going to need to put the total number of orders included in the package and the total number of collectibles included in the package. And you're going to have to do that for the 3 submission copies. So I only have 1 order, and I have 4 collectibles per that order. So each of these 2 pages. An order for collectibles. 1 order for collectibles. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fold these up, and you're going to want to put them in the box that is going to PSA. They have so many forms, I believe, because due to their quality assurance or quality control process, these get handed off and signed off on by each individual involved. So fit in here. Fold it one more time. I'm just gonna fold it actually. Hopefully I don't get upset. Trying to reuse one of the packages that they sent back to me because I'm a big fan of recycling. So I'm going to package this guy up right here. And I'll show you the finished product once it's done. Okay, so now that that's packaged up nicely, essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to write the service level SLA on the sides of the box. Because we had an economy level service, we have a 40-day service turnaround time. So, and I explained earlier in this video where you could find the service levels, turnaround times, and cost on the resources page of psacards.com. The last thing you're going to do, and I'm going to, could have probably just really quickly just put a little icon over my address, but you're going to want to put the address of PSA on the box, obviously, to send it in. The one thing I'm going to say is the turnaround times are increasing. So because your card isn't charged until the quality assurance check and the return shipping back to you once the card is graded, I would suggest putting these in as quickly as possible if you're seriously considering getting a card graded, because there is going to be a long turnaround time. I'm going to transition back to my computer now so I could provide you with a quick recap of every step that we went through. Take a look at the screen for a quick recap of the major steps on how to get a card graded, which the timestamps for have been provided in the description. Step 1 would be to assess the condition and provide your best estimate to a declared value on the card. Step 2 is complete a submission with PSA. And step 3 is to package your card and ship. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, I would really appreciate if you would like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to select the notifications icon so you'll be alerted on future content. This was part of a 3-video series, one of which is having a giveaway, with one of the items being a first edition graded Kazejin from Metal Raiders. So please take a look at this video if you're interested and want more details. Until next time, this is Simply Seppi signing off.